I've been in Toastmasters for a number of years. This isn't my first icebreaker speech. I think it's my fourth. But icebreaker speeches are my favorite because it lets you in and gives you a little bit of insight into a person's life and their personality. And today I hope to give you a little insight into my life. I'm going to be talking about two things today. I'm going to talk to you about my philosophy and my experience with best friends, and also with raising children. The first, my philosophy about best friends. To me, a best friend is someone who you put them before yourself, someone who you want to be with more than anybody else on this planet, and somebody who, if they truly need you, you will drop everything and be there for them. And finally, somebody who feels exactly the same way about you. I don't think you can truly have a best friend unless that's reciprocated. My first best friend I found in kindergarten. His name was Patrick Picorni, and he was my best friend for 3 full years. Together we terrorized the playground, kicked over sandcastles. We combed the fields for milkweed so we can find chrysalises that would turn into monarch butterflies, and we rode our bikes around town. But we lived in a military town. Castle Air Force Base was in our town, and his dad was in the Air Force. And at the end of our our second grade year, he moved away. And I was devastated until second grade started. And I met Anne Marie Loretta Verteber. She was my best friend for the next 3 years. If you think Pat was a troublemaker, this one was twice as bad. But we connected on a level. We both had a passion for sea monkeys and for raising trouble. We both were in Brownies and then later in Girl Scouts together, and we were inseparable. But in 5th grade, my family moved. Not out of town, just across town, but it was enough to put me into a different school district. And so when we started 6th grade, we started different schools. And I remember how devastated I was to lose that best friend that I've had for the last 3 years. 7th grade rolls around, and I found myself a new best friend. Her name was Beth Bloxam. And out of all of my best friends, she was the most benevolent. She was kind. She was sweet. She was such a good influence on me. But at the end of the year, her family packed up and moved to Oregon. And again, I was devastated. After that, I figured, why bother having a best friend? It hurts too much. So I have never had a best friend since then. Now, don't feel sorry for me. I feel very fortunate that I've had 3 best friends in my life, and I've had some really good friends, some amazing friends. But that was the last time I had my best friend. So if you have your best friend, if you find that person, hold on to them, because they're a really special thing in life. The second thing I want to talk about is my philosophy on raising kids, which is kind of comical because I actually didn't have any kids to raise. I was fortunate that I had nieces and nephews, and I was able to spend time with them. But it's not quite the same. I think it's more fun, actually, less stress. But I didn't get married until I was in my 40s, and by that time my stepkids were all grown. And lately I've been wondering, what if I would have had children? What kind of mother would I have been? How would I have raised them? And I've come to the conclusion that I think I would have raised them like chickens. Thanks to Craig Reckworth, I have a bunch of chickens at home. And I've been really studying the patterns of these mama hens. Every year I let them hatch a few eggs. And this year, I let one of my hens hatch about 10 eggs. 7 of them have survived. And during the incubation period, she was dedicated to those babies. She wanted to make sure that everything was okay. She put them before her. And I think I would have been the same way during my pregnancy. I think I would have made sure that I was healthy, but I put my babies first. And then once those babies were hatched, she became fiercely protective. If anyone comes within just a couple feet of her, her feathers go up, the talons come out, and she starts squawking like a banshee. And discipline. She teaches her kids survival. From about the second day, she's teaching them how to eat, how to drink, and how to stay safe. And like most kids, they wander from the nest. And when they do, she raises hell. She gets after them and comes after them, and it is not pretty when she gets after those babies. In fact, I think if my mother hen actually had a paddle or a belt, she would use it. And I'm pretty sure I would have done the same thing. So it's probably pretty good that I didn't raise my own kids. I have a better reputation, I believe, as an aunt than I would have ever had it as mother, and I do feel very blessed. So hopefully this morning I've given you an insight into a little bit of my philosophy and my personalities and my thoughts on best friends and raising children. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you.